Hello, everyone who is here watching us close out our first ever VIDA X training. My name is Donna B, and I use the pronouns she, her, and they, them. So excited to have you all with us today. I'm going to introduce our youth panelists as well as our special moderator. So with us today, Grayson Anstis and Lucas Strands. They are my colleagues, friends, co-workers. They are youth outreach workers and do so much. And most recently, just conducted a presentation today at VIDA X and killed it, did an amazing job. Super grateful for them. And Andy LaCroix is a Mundelein High School youth advocate. He's a trans youth advocate. He's amazing, and he's one of Carolyn Pinta and my favorite people to gush about. I don't know if you knew that, Andy. Talk about you all the time. So very excited to have you as well. And our really special moderator for this event is Cook County Commissioner in the 15th District, Kevin Morrison. Commissioner Morrison is well known for a lot of things, but one thing obviously to highlight in particular for today is that he made history as the first openly LGBT person elected to the Cook County Board. His life experiences and passion for public service is what inspires him to speak up for the most disproportionately impacted and marginalized communities, and he is an avid ally to the work we do. Thank you all so much for being here, and with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to you, Commissioner Morrison.
Thank you so very much, Donna. I greatly appreciate it. As Donna said, I'm Kevin Morrison. I'm the Cook County Commissioner. I represent the northwest suburbs of Cook County. My pronouns are he, him, his. And first, it would be great to go around the horn and I know you did brief introductions, but let's do it again. What are your names and your pronouns, and how do you identify?
I'm Gray or Grayson. I go by he, him. I'm trans male, and I don't know what my sexuality is. It's a great question.
I'm Luca. My pronouns are they, them. I identify as non-binary and pansexual.
Andy,
Does that mean it?
yeah.
Yes.
I think you're next.
Okay. I'm Andy. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I identify as queer.
Amazing, amazing. So happy to have you all here. And I see Shireen on the screen. Hi, Shireen. How's it going? Well, very good. Well, I hope today's, how's it going?
Sorry. Well, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. Nicole's going to sit in as well.
Awesome. Hi, Nicole.
Hey.
How's it going? Oh, fantastic. Well, I really hope that today has been a productive day, that you've enjoyed. I know that you three are all incredible leaders out here in the northwest suburbs, and it's so great to see youth taking action to help better our communities. It's incredibly inspirational, and I give you all props. But my first question I want to lead with is, how did you all become such rock stars at such a young age? Do you want to begin, Gray or Andy?
I can go. I think I always, rock stars, I've been playing music since I was a kid, so I got really used to talking and being in front of people in general. And so presenting and talking in front of a large group of people with basically no chance of their response, like direct to me, alleviates my anxiety. And so I've used that skill to be able to bring awareness to different issues like LGBTQ issues, POC issues. I helped lead the gun walkouts in 2018, I believe. Like, I've done a lot of that kind of stuff because I want to use my comfortability as a, like, I don't want to say, I'm not a weapon, but like a, like, I don't know. I don't know the word for it, but like, I want to use my skill to be able to help people as much as I can.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I've always been this way. I moved to Illinois only a few years ago, but I moved here from a very hateful place, I guess you could say. And I got very bullied growing up, So moving here and seeing that like there's a lot more acceptance and it's not as taboo to be myself, really gave me that like fuel and energy to just be like, I just want like everyone to be able to be proud of who they are. And I want to fight for that.
Incredible. That's incredible. All right, both of you. And Andy.
Okay, well, from a very young age, I've always wanted to be David Bowie. So that first. And then my mom's a lawyer, and so she's always taught me that if I ever wanted change, that I could just go out and fight for it. And I'm actually part of a program called Youth in Government in Illinois, and I've participated in that since I was in 3rd grade. And so we actually work with high school students and try to like create laws and create bills and pass them. And so I've always had like a sense of changing things and doing like youth advocacy stuff. So
Amazing. That's amazing. And aren't you the president of your GSA at Mundelein High School?
I am, and I actually created my middle school's GSA, my graduating year.
That's incredible. You know, my middle school did not have a GSA. It makes me so proud to know that those are sprouting up at middle schools in the area. No, that's incredible. And like I said earlier, it's great to have youth active in this process and helping our future LGBTQ generations. My goal in life is to see the end of the need of the closet. You know, I can't wait for that day, and we all have a fight ahead, but I know we can get there. One of my questions, and you know, it's something I grappled with myself when it came to coming out. I came out my freshman year of college. Was the first time that I finally built the confidence to come out to my family. But I'm curious, what were some of the things that made you comfortable enough to come out when you did, or what made you feel like you couldn't? Andy, if you would like to begin.
Okay, well, when I came out, I just came out to my mother at first, but basically I just asked her, I was like, Mom, do you care who I date? And her response was, I care if they're a good person. And I was like, well, I mean, what gender? And she was like, not at all. And so I was like, well, I'm pan. And she had no idea because I was in 5th grade when I came out as pan. And obviously my identity has changed since then. But I asked her if I could get a pansexual flag, and I explained to her what the identity was. And I said that basically I don't care about like the person's gender identity. And she was like, cool, just as long as you date good people that treat you well. And I was like, okay.
I thank you for the courage to come out. And like I said before, I look forward to the day where we never have to come out, that, you know, people don't make those blanketed assumptions on us. Now, Luca, if you would like to go next, what gave you strength to come out?
I came out at a very young age. I was 9 years old when I came out to my mother. I don't necessarily know if it was like something that gave me strength. It was more fear. I went to my mother and I sobbing. I told her, I said, Mom, I think I'm a lesbian. And she just kind of laughed and walked away and said, me too. But I guess it was kind of that comfort in knowing that like my mom understands. Like she understood what it felt like.
So I didn't have the most positive reaction. I never planned on coming out to my parents. I lived my dad's side was super religious. They took care of me. They lived in Schaumburg, but I went to the Catholic Church every week for my entire life. I can tell you I can recite half the Bible. So for me to come out was really scary. But I knew that I was gay from like a really young age. And so my parents found out when I started dating a girl in middle school, because the girl very stupidly kissed me in the middle of middle school. So the whole school found out. my parents found out, and that didn't go very well. They weren't necessarily unaccepting, but they were upset that I didn't tell them. And I feel like there's this disconnect of people understanding that we have to take our time to come out. And sometimes we will still do things and come out to certain people before others. And a lot of times parents are the scariest people to come out of all people, because what ended up happening was when I was about to turn 18 and I ended up being outed as trans by my sister, I was kicked out within the week that I turned 18. And the scariest thing is the reason that a lot of kids come out to other people before their parents is because okay, you lose a friend. You don't lose the people that raised you. And I feel like there's this disconnect of, well, I gave birth to you, I took care of you, you should feel comfortable with everything. But the risk that can take place if it is negative is so much more detrimental. And the biggest thing that you could do is just be an advocate, even if you don't know that your kid is gay. Like, the biggest thing that you could do is just, like, always talk about how okay it is. Always talk about how much you care about the people that are fighting for their rights. Always make that known so they aren't afraid in the first place.
Oh, great. I appreciate you sharing that. And, that's definitely a difficult situation. And I'm really happy that you landed on firm ground and are doing such incredible things today. And, I have a lot of scars myself personally, and I know that each one of those scars helps me in my work as a commissioner, helps me empathize with and, understand the realities of different communities. And, I hope anyone who listens to this, any scar that you have, I hope you wear that as a badge of honor and use it for your strength, because it does empower you. Now, I know that all of you were more recently in K through 12 education than myself, so I'm curious, and I love hearing about the changes that are taking place in our schools. But what were aspects of high school or middle school where you felt supported in your identities, or what made you feel like you couldn't? So were there support systems in place at your schools, or were there areas where you feel like the schools could have supported your identities to a higher extent? And let's start with Andy again.
Okay, so in my middle school, there wasn't really much support for my identity because I was the only trans kid there. But I didn't want that to be the case for all the future LGBT kids, so I created a GSA during my graduating year, and I still come back and visit when I can. But my high school did make me feel so much more supported because they had gender-neutral bathrooms, and they offer so much support for me as a trans kid in an all-male show choir. The fact that I can even be in the all-male show choir just means so much to me, and I'm allowed to be in the male dressing rooms, and they don't care at all. They're like, whatever you feel comfortable doing, we support you. And they have in our choir rooms, they have a gender neutral bathroom, and it's so supportive, the system at our high school. It just makes me feel so affirmed, and I love it so much.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. It really makes me so happy to hear about these changes in the right direction. Incredible. Luca, would you like to go next?
Sure. I moved a lot throughout high school. I've transferred 11 times in 4 years. And I moved across 2 states during that time, so trying to really find and connect with people who are like me was very difficult. I think really the only time I really felt kind of safe and affirmed in who I am was finding people who were also LGBT in my high schools. because they kind of understood what it's like to go through all of the struggles. I know it's kind of sad sounding.
It's all right. It's all right. I did not have a lot of affirmations when I went through my K through 12 education. I dealt with a lot of homophobia. I was bullied for 7 years straight. But you know, I hear you. And how about you, Gray? What was some of your experience?
Middle school was hell. It was really, really, really bad. Because even if the kids were bad, a lot of people can go home or go to a counselor, but the counselors that I interacted with were genuinely like, well, you wore a gay pride shirt, so what did you expect? Or like I got sent to the principal's office when I would tattle on them or whatever you want to call it because they were bullying me for being gay and they were like, that's too sexual, you can't talk about that in school. And it was just one of those things. When I got to high school though, I went to Hoffman, it changed and I didn't really think it was. I was actually going to go to Schaumburg because I was in a school that almost 100% of the middle school that I went to, unless you moved away, would be going to Hoffman. And so I didn't want to go because I was so scared of the bullying. And when I went there, I'm going to be real, it's really stereotypical. The theater program, that was, I think, my saving grace, I would say. Finding people, even if they weren't necessarily gay, but with the same interests that I had, and having that like accessibility really made me have people to come to. And then they also have like, there are some teachers at Hoffman who are out as gay. There are some teachers who are like, I think 3 out of the 4 teachers who run the GSA or used to, I think it like disbanded because there weren't enough people joining because they always ended up going to theater instead of GSA, were straight. Like, it's crazy the amount of acceptance and diversity at Hoffman. And I feel like even going to summer school at different schools, because I went to Conant and Schaumburg for those. I got bullied during summer school for being gay at a different school. And at Hoffman, I think I've only had 3 encounters, and they were all transphobic remarks from the same person. I had some problems with some administration, but the kids were wonderful, and there was always at least a teacher to come to. And I think that, like, even if there isn't a GSA, if there's a teacher or a person to go to, that can sometimes be enough.
Wow. When I went to Conant, I don't think there was a single teacher that was openly LGBT. There were rumors about people who might be part of the community. I'm pretty sure that our GSA teacher who led the GSA at Conant was in the closet at the time. But that has to be incredibly powerful to be able to go to a school where teachers are able to be open about who they are. And that is definitely a step in the right direction. Wow, incredible. And this goes for all 3 of you. If there's anything through your experiences, through middle school, high school, do any of you have any examples of improvements that could be put in place that would help our community in the education system? If any of you want to shout one out, if you have any ideas.
I really think training sort of like this today should be kind of like mandatory for teachers and administration. A lot of, like, I know administration at my school, I had to explain it to them what my pronouns were and what being non-binary meant a good handful of times. And every single time I was just met with like this, like, I don't understand and I don't want to understand, so I'm just going to keep going with what I know, which is not very fun. So I really wish there was more like training and knowledge in the teachers.
I 100% agree. I 100% agree. Gray, Andy, do you have anything else you would like to add? That's okay if you don't. Yeah, Andy?
I think like sensitivity training needs to be mandatory for teachers, because I actually had to like drop one of my teachers and switch classes because we got in a fight. over something because he like didn't respect the LGBTQ community or my identity this year. And I'm sorry, but like he also like refused to say like to refer to like parents or guardians as parents or guardians instead of like mom and dad. And I was like, I don't think you understand that like some people don't have like certain parents in their lives, or like some people don't have parents, right? And so like I think that training needs to be mandatory for teachers because that could be upsetting to a lot of students. And like that needs to be something that is taught to teachers because that was ridiculous because he was refusing to accept new terms, and that's not okay.
Oh, Andy. Oh, you are a rock star. I thank you for sharing that. And that's such a powerful voice. I hope people out there who are potentially sitting on school boards or places of authority with our schools hear that. If you know school board members, make sure to share some of these needs with them. I'm going to just put it out there. It's incredibly important that we talk to our local school boards about implicit bias trainings for teachers. I 100% agree. I've been trying to lead the charge on the county. We had a commission I started last year with 3 other commissioners on addressing implicit bias in Cook County. Our goal is for implicit bias trainings for all the county. Another thing I'm advocating for is more mental health access. I want to make sure that everyone at the county has access to mental health services, but that goes everywhere. It's critical. And so making sure that everyone has the knowledge of how they could respect individuals' identities is crucial. And we definitely need to push in that direction. I really appreciate you sharing that. Now, when you think of places where you felt most supported and affirmed, what spaces come to mind for you, and why did that place stand out? Andy, if you would like to start with that one.
Okay.
Are you okay to go? I could move on to that.
Absolutely. No, I'm good. Okay, so I know I keep mentioning this, but absolutely my choir classes, I'm in 3 as of this year.
Yeah.
They are absolutely my safe spaces. I am such a choir kid. They are my safe space. If I have anything wrong or anything that upsets me throughout the day, if I go to my choirs or my Coexist Club, I always feel better after them. And in my Coexist Club, which is our GSA, we just call it Coexist Club, we always practice mindfulness during it, and it is just the most relaxing thing ever. We always de-stress. It is so amazing, and I just feel so grateful to have these safe spaces every day. It's so amazing.
I love that. I love that so much. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I feel like the need also just, I know you are not here in Schaumburg, but to shout out Kenneth Young. When I was a youth, we didn't have many safe spaces out here in the Northwest suburbs. The fact that Kenneth Young has an LGBTQ center opened by Shreen, who just joined the screen again. God bless you. Thank you for your leadership, and thank you for creating safe spaces for our community here in the Northwest suburbs. And let's see, without further, we have more questions. What is something that you learned about running your own workshop? I believe Luca and Gray, you both led workshops today with today's process. Hopefully they went incredibly well. Luca, would you like to start? What was your experience like today?
I'm not very good at words.
Okay, great. Do you want to go first?
Sure. I think that it was nice talking to everyone because I like giving out. I did the LGBTQ history workshop, and so did Luca. And I like seeing people's responses, even if it's like a silent like affirmation of like, okay, we're just listening. I really like being able to see everyone intake that information, and I really like being able to know that I'm giving people more than they were given before in school. And I think that's really important. It's also just like cool to learn some of that stuff. It's really fun.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. And no pressure. Did anything come to mind, Luca, that you might want to share?
No, he pretty much wrapped it up.
Very good. Awesome. Well, and my last question for now, what tips do you have for people watching this Zoom right now who want to become better allies or advocates for the LGBTQ community? And this time, Gray, I'm starting with you. Even though on your name screen, Luca comes first, I'm starting with Gray. I'm switching it up.
I think that, as I said a little bit when I was saying how it feels, what makes people feel safe to come out, just a constant affirmation that you care, and not in a way of like, I know that sometimes people who are allies will be like, well, allies are part of the A in the community or something like that. Not necessarily saying that you're a part of the community by saying you're an ally, but affirming and fighting with the community so they can have rights. The same way that you see white people barking at the people of color right now, the same way that you see all that kind of stuff. I want to see advocacy that doesn't make it seem like you're asking to be included, if that makes sense.
Of course, 100%. I love that. Awesome. Luca, any ideas for how people could be better allies and help support the community?
Yeah, I'd say like going to things like this training, or like listening to other people's stories, or like researching, just like trying to understand is the best way. And like if you're confused on something, like don't be afraid to ask questions. Like it's always better to ask than get something wrong and accidentally disrespect somebody. Yeah. So I say that's my piece of advice.
I love that. I think that's crucial. Amazing. And last but certainly not least, Andy, any ideas for our allies out there?
Absolutely. I'd say please keep an open mind to learning about new identities and like terms, because they are constantly changing and like growing. So like, please just keep an open mind about that.
Of course. I would love to just add in there, oftentimes some people feel more comfortable coming out as bi, and as they learn more about their true identities, they learn about the community and they recognize what feels more true to them. That may change. Just respecting individuals on their path, be it in finding the confidence to come out more fully with the larger community, or what their preferred pronouns are. There's so many ways that we could be better allies. I studied LGBTQ studies when I was in university, and it opened my mind to the history. There's a great history that for the most part was avoided in a lot of the K through 12 individuals who are, already graduated, did not have the opportunity to learn about that history. And it's important, and I hope everyone takes a look. Amazing. Fantastic. Well, Donna, is there anything else you want me to share? And hopefully everyone's been enjoying their day so far.
Absolutely. No, that's perfect. Thank you so much, Commissioner Morrison, and our youth panelists. I mean, y'all know I love you, and we just appreciate you so much for giving us the energy and inspiration to do what we do. And thank you again, Commissioner Morrison, for being here today.
So happy to be here. Everyone on this call right now are rock stars. You all inspire me. You give me a lot of confidence in the future direction of this country and our communities, and I thank you all for your leadership.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Of course. Not a problem. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
So thank you all for joining us today for